Chapter 42. The SV-52 was in bad shape. 4 camera feeds were down, a pair of attitude thrusters had been damaged, and one of the rear thrusters no longer responded at all. Every time he tried another burn, another system failure alert appeared on his block. It didn't matter. He was moving fast enough and headed in the right direction. Black had told him Gunny's squad had captured Dunn and Noble. That was the important part. Now all he had to do was provide a little air cover. He was looking forward to it. When the SV-52 came within 50 meters of S&R Black, he saw the shadows of pine cones in another familiar shape. A thing like the one that had attacked him was moving back to the ship, its arms scratching at the pine cones around it. "Feeding time is over, motherfucker," Talby breathed. He switched to anti-personnel flechettes. If he tried to use anything else, he might perforate Black's hull. But these should do the trick. Talby grinned and activated the cannon. 100 rounds left the barrels in less than 4 seconds. The space around Black's tail section turned into a maelstrom of metal. The tungsten flechettes smashed into the objects at a far greater speed than those fired from the skiff. The clouds of speeding metal slammed into the pine cones, pushing some of them away and cutting through the carapaces of others. The starfish-like thing flipped itself to face the onslaught of metal. Sparks of blue blinked in the relative darkness as the flechettes bounced off its skin. The creature seemed to pull itself inward and then expanded. It flew at him, closing the distance at a terrifying speed. Talby switched to explosive rounds, glared through the HUD, and fired. The craft vibrated as another 20 shots left the cannon and flew at their target. The creature drifted slightly to the left before the munitions hit, but they exploded close enough to knock it off course. The creature flung its arms out, grabbing at nothing. The pine cones formerly trapped in the appendages flew away at less than 2 meters per second. The arms plucked a little more nothing out of the air and then flailed forward. Talby didn't figure out what it was doing until a barrage of tungsten scrap bounced off the hull. "Oh, you want to play?" he asked the creature. Talby fired the cannon again, this time upping the number of rounds. The thing, still busily gathering flechette debris to toss back at him, didn't notice the streaking munitions until they reached it. The rocket-propelled flechettes exploded in a cloud of metal. If he'd been firing at humans clad in combat suits, or hell, even a skiff, the area around the metallic whirlwind would be thick with droplets of blood, shredded flesh, and disintegrating fabric. Instead, there was only the glitter of metal and the shadowy thing still lurking near the ship. It looked at least to have gotten the message it wasn't welcome, but instead of heading into space away from S&R Black and toward Mira, the creature changed direction and moved further toward the aft. "No, you don't," he said. If the creature continued in that direction, it would come across the skiff, and he just couldn't have that. Talby aimed another set of shots beyond S&R Black and in the thing's path. The cannon fired, and a dozen explosive rounds left the barrel. The shots exploded between the creature and the end of S&R Black's long tail section. The thing hesitated, its arms flicking and gathering more chaff. Talby fired another volley in the same place, willing the creature to leave the area. More fragments detonated, showering the attacker with tungsten shards. The creature drew in its arms, was still for a second, and then pumped the appendages. The flechette debris it had gathered came flying back at the SV-52. This time, the shards did more than bounce off. They connected with the hull fast enough to set off 3 warnings on his HUD. Talby hit his thrusters, the ones that remained, and closed on the creature. This was going to be dangerous, but if he didn't clear the area, the skiff couldn't approach the ship. Chapter 43. The skiff moved slower than he liked. Dunn stood near the gunner's mount, his HUD filled with Talby's feed. They needed to give the lieutenant some options before he ended up perforating S&R Black's hull. Or, almost as bad, the thing destroyed the SV-52. "Went," Dunn said. "How much fuel do we have?"
"We're running on fumes, sir,"
Went said.
"One more sustained burn and we'll have nothing apart from attitude thrusters."
Dunn cursed. "Done to Talby."
"Glad to hear from you, sir, but I'm a little busy."
Talby sounded as stressed and tight as he thought he would. "Lieutenant?" After a moment, Talby's voice was cold and steady.
"Aye, sir."
"We're going to go beneath S&R Black. Can you get that thing to follow you?
Not sure, sir, but I can try.
Do it.
Aye, sir.
Dunn checked his HUD. In the distance, he saw the creature illuminated by the SV-52's floodlights. The thing kept floating through space from side to side, alternately pulling its arms back in and then pulsing them back out to fling flechettes. From what he could see, the creature was getting better at throwing the shards. Gunny, Dunn said, we need to get beneath the tail section.
Aye, sir. Wint, you heard the captain. Aye.
Wint said. Dunn pulled the flechette mag from his rifle and held it up. Gunny, who's your best shot?
Copenhagen is, sir.
Gunny said. PFC? Dunn said. Get over here. Copenhagen quickly mag-walked from the skiff's aft to stand beside Dunn.
Sir,
she said. He offered her the magazine. Clear your rifle and put this in.
Sir? Do it, PFC,
Gunny said. Copenhagen followed orders. Gunny's helmet pointed directly at Dunn. He could feel the sergeant's unasked question. New ammo, Gunny. A gift from the trio.
Aye, sir,
Gunny said, confusion in his voice. I'll explain later, I promise.
Very good, sir,
Gunny said.
Ready, sir,
Copenhagen said. Good. The skiff had moved much closer to S&R Black. 75 meters of space separated them from the tail. A few pine cones floated near the aft, keeping their distance from the starfish thing, but refusing to leave. It was as if they were waiting for something. Wint, get us lower. I want to skate about 3 meters below Black's belly.
Aye, sir,
Wint said. Here's the plan, Gunny, Dunn said. Talby's going to lure that thing away from the ship. Not far, but far enough for Copenhagen to get a good shot. Gunny nodded.
That new ammo do more damage?
Well, Dunn said, I managed to remove one of its arms with a round.
Outstanding,
Gunny growled.
PFC, your job is to aim and shoot. I want as many rounds in the center of that thing as possible. Aye, Gunny,
Copenhagen said. She had already moved to the gunwale and squatted to her knees, the rifle resting on the gunwale. If you miss, Dunn said, just take your time and try again. You have 9 shots.
Understood, sir,
Copenhagen said. Dunn put the feed from the skiff's forward camera on his HUD. Wint had already touched the thrusters to change attitude. The skiff drifted slowly at a negative vector relative to the ship as it moved forward. How much fuel went?
Good for now, sir. Just don't ask me to take much evasive action.
Evasive action. Shit. That's what they were going to need. Move, asshole! Talby shouted. The creature was sliding again toward the tail. Not that way! He fired another volley, this time walking the rounds from the tail toward the creature. The flechettes exploded one by one, each pushing the thing in the direction he wanted. He'd already closed the distance to 20 meters. Any closer, and he'd be right on top of the creature. The arms reached out and gathered more debris. Talby growled and moved the SV-52 sideways as soon as the appendages flung the projectiles back at him. The metal shards glittered in the floodlights before flying past the canopy and into space. Talby moved closer to the tail, rotated the 52, and fired again. The flechettes pounded Black's hull, but he knew they wouldn't penetrate, or at least he hoped they wouldn't. Another set of rounds exploded above the creature and to its left. The starfish thing pivoted and floated both lower and to the right. That's it, he said. Stay right there. The creature drew its arms in, but hadn't reached for any of the flechettes. It seemed to be staring at him, waiting for him to make a move. When it pulsed, it caught him by surprise. Instead of another volley of shards, silvery liquid shot from its center toward him. Talby let out a yell and hit the thrusters, but he was too late. The stream of glistening liquid hit the canopy, and another camera died, leaving him 2/3 blind on the support vehicle's bow. An alert popped up on the HUD. The canopy's integrity was at 35% and dropping. Atmos steel might be able to survive that shit for a while, but the trans aluminum obviously couldn't. The starfish squirted another stream. The liquid hit the canopy, and alerts turned from yellow to red. The canopy was almost done. Talby to Dunn. I'm about to lose atmosphere.
Hit it again. We need it lower,
The captain said. Talby aimed the cannons and fired once more, making sure the rounds exploded just above the thing. About to spew another geyser of silver liquid, the creature didn't have a chance to move out of the way. The flechettes raked across its flesh just as a stream of liquid flew past the SV-52. The creature moved further below the fuselage. Talby changed attitude to keep parallel with the creature. Below Black's belly and behind the starfish, the skiff came into view. Filled with suit lights from too many Marines aboard, the skiff seemed to glow. From his remaining camera, he watched in silence as the creature drew its arms in again. He readied himself to hit the thrusters and push the SV-52 out of the way of another volley when everything changed. 3 winks of light erupted from the side of the skiff, and then 2 of the creature's arms disappeared in an eruption of dark fragments. The creature tried to turn itself to face the new threat, just as another round tore through its center. The starfish thing's middle shattered into fragments that headed out into space. 3 limbs, no longer attached to a center, tumbled past him toward Mira. A rain of debris pinged off the hull, but did no further damage. Talby exhaled sharply. "Talby to done. Threat eliminated, sir. Good shooting."
You can thank PFC Copenhagen when we get back aboard,
Dunn said.
Speaking of, mind giving us a tow?
Talby was spent. The constant surge of adrenaline through his system since he encountered his first starfish had left him shaking and exhausted. "No problem, sir,"
Black,
Dunn said over the general comms.
we'll need repairs and refuels as soon as we can. We have 1 casualty. Understood, Captain,
Black said. Talby gently lowered the SV-52 until he saw all of the skiff. He checked the 52's status and groaned. The coffin he'd recovered was still cradled beneath the hull. "Stick around," he told it, and hit the release button. The SV-52 vibrated slightly as the magnetics beneath her changed polarity and pushed the coffin away from the vehicle.
Talby, what is that?
Dunn asked. "A stasis coffin, sir. Can't hold it and you at the same time."
Understood, Talby.
He carefully aimed the line gun and shot it at the skiff's gunnel. The magnetic harpoon hit the skiff and his HUD turned green.
Pop your canopy, Talby.
Dunn said.
It's covered in that silver shit. Don't want that on Black.
"Aye, sir," Talby said. He sent a block command, and the remains of the 270-degree transaluminum window flew away from the SV-52. He watched it sail over S&R Black's fuselage and into space. His pilot suit provided atmosphere and heat enough to keep him alive, especially for the few minutes it would take to tow the skiff. "Need a better canopy," he said to himself. "Captain, am I clean?"
Clean enough,
Dunn said. Talby smiled. "Hold on, Marines. I'm bringing you in."